Tastes funny.
I mean, this is the part where there was previously stick-on ceiling lights.
And welcome to episode 9 of Tastes Funny, the podcast in which myself, Joe McLachlan,
And myself, Peter McHugh.
take an album from each other's collections and review them a few weeks later.
Yeah.
There's a very fine chance that's not really an expression, is it? There's a very slight. There's quite. If I've got round to it, there's a chance you're hearing this conversation fairly shortly after we've recorded it.
Because we're really late. So late that Joe's sprouted an entirely new set of facial hair while I was away.
Yeah. Well, it's because you've made me listen to so much metal. I've now started growing my hair and I've grown fucking mutton chops.
Turned into Lemmy.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
You're going to have to edit the little drawings now to have mutton chops on you, because I'm the beardy one normally, and now you're going to have to be partially bearded.
I know. Well, yeah, mine, because I do like a little diary, like a little comic strip diary every day. Oh. And that's where the illustrations for this come from. It's technically cheating. I feel like it's cheating every time. I feel like
combining two projects.
I know. Well, I honestly feel like I'm cheating myself out of a project. I'm just like, this isn't really what I was doing today. But it was.
Yeah.
So, but that's where those little illustrations come from. And every time I do them, I'm like, I'm not putting mutton chops on me.
Yeah.
Because it's the point at which you have to decide consciously when have I got mutton chops.
I can say with all.
I do now,
definitely have mushrooms.
But it's like there was only a very brief period where the moustache featured.
Yeah.
In the diary, and then that went. And then these haven't turned up yet. Maybe now that we've had this discussion, maybe they will.
I feel like because you rotate through facial hair so fast, I should start doing the same. I should maybe just go for a goatee for a bit.
No, you should. I don't know. But then you'd be sad though if you. Yeah.
I mean, I've put a lot of work in to the beard. It does need a trim.
Yeah. I met a man actually. This is a good one. This is a good story. I met a man at work the other day who had half a beard, and one of the people that I worked with said, "Joe, you know how you like to rotate through weird facial hair?" And it hadn't actually occurred to me that is a thing I do.
You do,
but apparently it is.
It totally is.
This is the third weird facial hair I've had in 3 years, and I didn't actually know that until just recently.
Annual facial hair.
It is, yeah, it must be. Mutton November. That's not a thing. Never mind. Mutton November. Never mind.
Yep.
So this guy came in, and one of the people that I work with came around and says, "Joe, this guy's got weird. He's got half a beard, and I really want to know what the story is with this."
But you ask.
But I can't. I didn't feel comfortable asking in case it was pathological. Like, is it related to, what if he's had like a stroke and half of his beard's fallen out? So I was just like, right, okay, that's fine. So I'll see. So I looked at him, and he still had the other hairy bits of that side of his face. He had he had an eyebrow, and he had the hair on there. So I thought, I don't think that is pathology related. I think that is probably a conscious decision. So I said to him, "So I'm really impressed with what you got going on there. I really like what you're doing. Do you mind if I ask, is there a story behind it?" And he said, "There is actually. It's my granddaughter. When I gave her cuddles, she didn't like the beard, so I shaved off half of it as a joke, and I refer to that now as my granddaughter's side of my face."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't that the loveliest thing? And I was honestly, that was like my little heart swelled up for the day. I was just like, that's the loveliest thing.
And his heart grew
3 sizes that day.
Yeah. 'Tis the season.
Benedict Cumberbatch will never be the Grinch. It will always be Jim Carrey, and fuck you, Benedict. That's
the hell with you.
The official.
Benedict.
That's the official stance of the Taste Funny podcast.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I don't know. Bandersnatch Cumberbund.
So it was a Toast of London thing, but yeah.
All right, okay.
Never seen Toast of London? You should watch Toast of London.
You can set me it as an album if you want.
No, it's not an album. It's a.
I know what it is. I know what it is. It's a Matt Berry show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
No, I'm familiar with it, and Matt Berry's one. I still haven't decided if I like him.
His enunciation of things just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like, his best work, as far as I'm concerned, is the Volvic mineral water advert with the Tyrannosaurus.
I only realised retrospectively that was clearly him.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm making it tasty for the ladies.
But there is a thing though. Recently, have you noticed this? If you listen to radio adverts, there's a thing for like putting on sound-alikes, and maybe it's always been a thing.
There is a Matt Berry sound-alike.
There's definitely a Matt Berry sound-alike, but there's loads. I'm sure I've heard a James Corden sound-alike, which is weird. But I suppose he's quite famous now, so it's got to have, you can't just have actual James Corden.
That's true.
But there's loads of them, like where it clearly, like even like there's loads where it just sounds like someone famous, but it clearly isn't. Because why would they be advertising fucking Pocklington carpets?
Come on down.
Selby
Pocklington carpets.
Pocklington carpets, my kind of carpets. They've got style. Shout out to Selby Massive.
I haven't heard that advert in ages.
No, I know, but it's in there, isn't it? It's in your
Because I
head.
don't ever listen to the radio.
No.
But,
I would like to point out, neither do I.
But from
first-
when you think back to the time when you did listen to the radio.
It's in there along with Big John from Corelia Cars. You buy a car, you get a free cheeseburger. Whoopee! That's what he used to say. And I remember thinking, that is a shit deal. I just buy a cheeseburger.
Horrendous
I haven't
deal.
got enough money for a car, but I could definitely afford a cheeseburger.
I think I could get down Mackie D's.
I totally feel like, yeah.
Well, I mean, nowadays that's just an even less enticing deal to you, being as you're vegetarian.
Yeah, that's true. The I was in McDonald's actually the other day. Got table service. Felt like a total bastard. I felt really wrong. Well, no, there is one thing I can have from McDonald's, which is it's like the vegetarian supreme. It's a veggie supreme, and it's not on the shitty cheap menu either. Like if you're gonna go to McDonald's as a vegetarian, like you can literally spend no less than a £5.
Premium.
It's annoying because you can get a fucking cheeseburger for 99p.
Goddamn.
What price of life, Peter? What price of life?
Blood's cheap.
Yeah, fucking right. I feel like we need to address a couple of things from a couple of podcasts ago.
Oh shit.
Because they were all recorded on the same night, so technically this is one session ago.
Right, what did we bollocks up that time?
No, nothing like that. I want to talk about idols.
Oh!
I want to say thank you firstly for my headphones.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Because
have they helped?
Well, the thing is that the majority of what I listen to is podcasts and radio and stuff.
Yeah.
And what happens there is that on my commute, which is where I'm generally listening to stuff, the sound of rather than me leaking sound out, which is what I normally
sound's
worry about,
leaking
the
in.
sound's leaking in. So I can't hear what anybody's saying between about Gateshead and Haymarket. So now I just have to press my hands over my ears and hope that I might pick up a few choice words. But that's fine. And they were sort of relegated to home headphones, editing headphones.
Yeah.
But then one of the pods in their headphones broke, so now they're my main headphones.
Fair enough. See, I've had a weirdly opposite experience. Literally 2 days ago, my Sony cans, because I use them literally every day when I'm walking the dog. And
these are the ones that are the same as the ones.
They're basically the same.
Hang on, little jingle. Sounds funny.
But yeah, the little bloody wire, because they're wired headphones. Because I'm an old person, I live in the 90s.
You say that, but wired headphones are they've only really just started going out.
Wireless
of fashion
headphones, wireless headphones are in now though, and I feel like I should upgrade, but they cost too much.
So why would you bother? I like the wire. I like the wire.
I like the wire's easy. You can plug it into anything.
The only thing I don't like is when I go through a door too near to the door and the door handle pulls it out.
Do you know what the worst one is for me is self checkouts?
Oh yeah,
because they've got that little bit that the bag's supposed to go on that there's no longer bags on because new laws and 5p bags and whatever. But it's got that little sort of jetty out bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And every time I go to move something from the scanner to the bag, my backpack where I'm packing up my bag to walk home with, my cable goes over it, and then I go back to scan and I go Bleh!
Yeah.
And I get yanked across the... Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, probably for that reason, my headphone cable broke, so I had to go back to earbuds. Oh, God, the terror, the awe. Oh, God, it was horrible. I tried to listen to some Run the Jewels, and it was really upsetting, because I was like, I can't hear nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I find them so much more intense.
No low end.
Okay.
So all the highs are really high and scratchy.
Maybe you've just got better ears than me.
It hurts my head.
Because I really can't hear the difference.
Really?
Really can't.
I challenge you to go home and listen to the same song
to back. It sounds different, but I can't. I don't. There's definitely bits in. I don't know. Maybe I'm being
there's
obtuse.
Stuff that you cannot hear when you're listening.
I tried listening. I was re-listening. I think this is going to come up later. I think, but I feel like a lot of. I've noticed a problem with the format of this podcast. Is that nobody listens to it? Is that hi mum? So that it listens. It's the fact that a lot of the time my music taste is purely based on my mood at the time.
Yeah.
So if I am not having a rap month, then I'm not really fancying listening to hip hop, so I won't appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that I've found in the past, I've revisited. I re-listened to a little bit of Cattle Decap not that long ago because you'd recommended. What was it? Forced gender reassignment.
Yeah.
And I listened to that, and I realised that part of what I liked about Cattle Decap was when I read their lyrics, I understood what they were talking about, and I was like, yes, I can get on board with the anger of this. I tried to listen to that song, and I didn't have the lyrics in front of me, and I didn't know what they were saying, so it's hard to really appreciate it.
Sure.
I also re-listened to a bit of Devin Townsend, and I really enjoyed that. The same album.
Yeah,
Ocean Machine. Same album, but enjoyed it more because I had chosen to listen to it. I wasn't listening to it for a purpose.
You're feeling the vibe.
Yeah, I was feeling it. So, but yeah, so I found that can be, cause like I've enjoyed Run the Jewels the last couple of days way more than I enjoyed it, and not that I didn't enjoy it beforehand.
But you were in the
But
right mood
I
for it.
fancied listening to it, and I was
Sure.
like, oh, this is great.
Sure.
Okay, but we want to
Yeah,
talk. But
weirdly, Shrag. Yeah, but we'll come back to
yeah,
it.
so that'll be for next week,
That's the
technically.
next song.
So, yeah, idols. We need to talk about idols because holy fucking shit. I mean, I feel like by this point, recording now, we are late to the party with this conversation because
completely
fuck
late.
me,
Yeah, what a great band.
it is a great album. Like, they're amazing. Just, I feel like there's not actually that much we can really say, but thank you for recommending them to me.
That's fine.
So
I mean,
much.
I don't know. I don't think there's. I feel like I pretty much what I said when I recommended them to you is that I feel like it's the first time in a long time that I feel like punk's had something really justifiable to shout about, and I don't mean that things haven't been crap the entire time, because they have.
Yeah.
But the bands and the punk artists were still banging the same old drums. You know, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't like the police. We don't like power.
If that's
we
just
don't
interesting,
like
just
the
as a little side note, if
government.
people aren't familiar with, there is only one drum kit for punks.
Yeah.
They share it.
Yeah, they're all of them.
All of them share it.
All the one drum kit.
Which is it's difficult if they're two
I mean,
of them gigging in different
whoa,
venues.
When you mean two drum kits, you bourgeoisie pig dogs?
Yeah. They just, so like some nights. That's why Adam and the Ants only ever use a floor tom, because that's their bit. They bought that, and that's all they've got.
Right. Anyway, idols. They, like I said, I feel like it's been a while since they've really had something to go at, and there's this sort of new wave of forward-thinking, left-wing politics, some of which gets a bit out of hand, but we'll not talk about that now. And these
'Cause I
guys
don't agree with you.
well, because you don't agree with me, of course you don't.
Because I don't spend as much time on the internet as
That's
you.
true, you don't. I'm too involved in the vitriol. But the idols, for me, nail everything down just where it ought to be. Just where it needs to be, the right amount of politics to music, and it's good politics, and it makes you feel good, and it's stuff I want to tell people. It's stuff I want to be like, look, just
It feels like
this is okay.
it's not even necessarily that this is the first time punk's been this articulate. It's just the first time. This album feels like.
We've not actually mentioned the name of the album, which you probably
Sorry,
know.
yes, of course. The album is called "Joy as an Act of Resistance."
Yeah.
Although if I put it on in my car, it just comes up as "Joy," which is interesting.
Do you know what it does in mine? Now that I think about it, yeah.
Well, it will do.
does.
It's the same metadata,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Um,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
hashtag metadata. It feels as though it just. I said this to you before. It feels like. I know you've said this isn't the case, but it feels very quick and it feels very urgent and it feels like it's literally just. It feels. Do you know what it is? It's, you know how sometimes you will listen to someone talking, and they could be saying stuff you agree with, but you just think, oh, fuck off, because they're just being really tedious.
Yeah.
This feels like someone articulating the things I think in music I like, and getting it right.
Yeah.
This feels like music that I wanted to hear. This feels like an album someone made for me.
Yeah,
And it feels
right.
like as
Yeah,
well, there's a lot of
sure.
people that are connecting with it. There are a lot of people that maybe are listening to this going, wow, this is going to be broad. This is the Nevermind the Bollocks of its day. This is the album that people are going to go, yeah, that's the thing. That's what we needed more of. Like,
Right.
it's going to be.
This is the,
It's
yeah.
going to break. It feels like it's breaking ground.
You're definitely not the only person who feels that way, because when I first sort of started listening to them, and I found them the way I find most music is that I was on the internet and I was on YouTube and I was browsing around, and a lot of people were like, this is so relevant, this is so needed right now.
Yeah.
And I agree, I 100% agree, because it's not preachy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm being preached to and told.
That's a skill,
what
isn't it? Because it's
it's a real skill to be able to articulate and pull someone onto your side. And it's not like I don't agree with any of the things that are in
you
this
are
album.
part of the target audience.
I'm already part of the target audience for sure. But yeah, it doesn't I still find some punk bands they sound a bit preachy, and I always sort of go, oh, you say that, but I don't feel like you believe it. Like when unity, the whole unity call, right? It doesn't matter, it's about unity, everyone together. It's like I don't see a lot of unity in the punk scene. Or at least I didn't see a lot of unity in the punk scene, and especially sort of 10 years ago, Sonic Boom 6 were coming out and that sort of stuff, and they did a lot of that, and they also had that they had a song about that, I believe.
Yeah.
You can't see the wood for the trees. What was that? Which song was that? Bigger Than Punk Rock?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes. They are fucking great.
Yeah, Sonic Boom 6 are fab.
Sonic Boom 6 are amazing. If you're not familiar with Sonic Boom 6, have a little listen.
Oh yeah, definitely do. I mean, like I say, but it often feels that way. Like these bands have a lot of opinions, and they have but I don't always feel like they believe it. It doesn't always feel heartfelt. It feels like this is what punk is.
Yeah.
You dislike the police, you dislike the government, you dislike authority. You know, you're angry about stuff. Ooh, punk, right?
Yeah.
When I listen to Idols, I'm like, no, you believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are 100%. When songs like "Cry to Me," is that on this album? Or
I think that's
on the first album. So you've not listened to Brutalism yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. I'm like, of course you believe in that.
Yeah.
The television, which obviously you have heard. Clearly, he's like, no, I believe this.
It feels honest. It feels like a
Very.
really honest record, and I just. Like, no one listening to this probably really needs to hear our opinions on it, because by this point it's already pretty popular. Like, they sold out fucking everywhere. People who I knew were going to their show in Newcastle, which obviously might be near where we live. That's an ongoing joke. But people I knew were going to that show and being like, and I was like, well, what the fuck are you doing going to a punk gig? It's not like a. This isn't for you. This is reaching people that it's a wider audience. You don't have to be interested in punk music. You don't have to be into punk music in order for this album to be for you.
It's weird. I also saw a number of people online generally about being like, it's not real punk. This is indie rock.
Fuck off.
Yeah, because they were like, it's not like you want real punk. Go listen to. I've forgotten the name of the band I was going to reference there, but the Casualties.
Good one.
The Casualties, right? And the Casualties are a hardcore punk band. They're from America. They play very, 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 very fast. It sounds like Rancid, but faster and more.
The Casualties are all, but it's just image though.
100% image. They are a completely vapid band.
I'll tell you what. I saw the Casualties live.
Yeah.
At Leeds Festival a few years ago. A good few years ago now. I've got two things about the Casualties. This to me sums up punk as you're describing.
Yeah.
So the two things. First one was I saw them on a Warped Tour documentary where they were like, we were playing some pranks, and we were trying to really fuck up the other bands, and we were going to play some pranks. Nothing that would be too harmful or really, just nothing too bad, but just so we would fuck up, just put some fish in the van's radiator. And I was like, that is funny, but also like, why are you even feeling the need to just be like, it wasn't awful. It wasn't terrible.
We're not bad people.
We're not bad people. It wasn't awful.
You a punk band.
Yeah. And then the other one that made me laugh was when we saw them live, because they didn't have George with them. It was just the three of them, and the bass player pinched the headset off the security guard using his bass. He hooked it off like a fishing rod. Then the security guard turned around and was like, and he gave it straight back. And I was like, what are you doing?
Don't give it back.
Like, that is just pure image. Like, there's not. Yeah. It's not.
Their hair is fantastic, but the way they dress, it's like, their leather studded jackets and the tight jeans and the boots and the hair's all manner of different spiky colours. Idols don't look like that. They look like people. Yeah. And then on top of that, the thing is though, the music they make is so much closer to first wave punk.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. These people are going, that's not punk. It's like, no, this is the most punk. Yeah. This is the punkest thing. I think there's an argument actually. This is, to be fair, and I know that you're going to probably roll your eyes at me for this, but there's an argument as well with that's one of the things that I loved about the Cribs, was the fact that they're making the music first. The image is part of it. I agree with you. I agree.
But what I loved about their music is it just feels like they're making the music. And they are themselves.
I think I said this when we were talking about them. They do everything on a shoestring, and they do it ground up. They are a roots band, and that's great.
But I remember reading an article ages ago about the difference. There is a difference, a tangible difference between American and British punk. Generally speaking, I'm not suggesting this is the case with all bands. I'm not saying there aren't image-based British bands, and I'm not saying there aren't content-based American bands. But realistically, the image comes first with the American scene. And the content tends to come first with British bands.
No, I would agree with that.
Blondie were art students. I'm not saying, again, there were art students over here who were all in punk bands, but a lot of the things that kickstart these waves of music and pop culture tend to be content first in the UK. Yeah. And in America, it's like, oh, look at the look of these people. I wonder what they're up
the
to.
hair and the studs and the leather jackets. No,
the Ramones is such a clear image thing.
Yeah.
and I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe I might be talking. I'm probably
no,
talking
no, no, no,
bollocks
no.
at this point.
I would agree with that. Like, you could even you look at any American punk band, and it's technically like you know. Like I'm sick of hearing stuff like, oh, they're not dressed in the style, they've not got the mohawks, they're not spiking the hair up, they're not wearing a studded leather jacket, tight jeans and docks, they're not punk. It's like that's not.
Yeah.
It's about the music. It should always be about the music, and it should be about the message. It should always be about the message. And if you want to talk about what's punk, then you go back. You don't look at the Exploited and the Casualties and these current wave punk bands who are hardcore punk. Like, this is the thing. Most people don't realise that 99.9% of punk music nowadays, including pop punk, is based on hardcore. It's not based on the Dead Kennedys are a hardcore punk band.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't sound nearly as angry or aggressive or as oi as half the sort of modern punk bands.
Yeah.
In their day, they were considered hardcore. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because to me, I hear them, I go, that's a punk band. But then, like I say, when you look even further back and you go back to The Clash and you go back to Sex Pistols and the Buzzcocks and all of our other wonderful toy dolls, favourite old school punk bands, of course they don't sound that heavy. That sound has taken a long time to develop. So therefore, saying that something that sounds like that isn't punk because it doesn't sound as heavy as its modern day counterparts is really counterintuitive to me.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I remember reading an interview with John Lydon a few years ago, because obviously you don't read them now because he likes Brexit and Trump and all of those ones, and he's quite frightening and sad. But I mean, he did the butter advert, and it was all downhill from there. And I'd forgiven him for that, and now I'm starting to think maybe I hadn't, maybe I shouldn't have, because he said he did that to finance a pill tour, and I'm totally on board with that. It's just fucking butter. So I mean, obviously, cattle decapitation wouldn't have done it, but that's beside the point.
I mean, that's
two of them.
Maybe they would have done.
Two of them might have.
Which one did he do? He did like Life. A legit butter.
It wasn't Vitalife, was it?
Yeah. I was trying to think, who did he do?
Yeah. But I remember reading an interview with him years ago where he was just like, the whole point of this was do your own thing and don't dress like me. It's like that bit in fucking Life of Brian where he's standing at the window going, no, I'm not the Messiah, don't be like me, you have to be yourselves, and the whole fucking crowd of 300 people goes, yes, we have to be ourselves. And that's the problem with anything. Like, the people who innovate these things are never, they're like, let's all be ourselves, and they're like, yes, let's be like you. You're like, no, that's not what I said.
Right.
And obviously, there's literally nothing you can do to be just yourself. Your influences come in from everywhere and whatever. Blah, 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 blah. This isn't a chat, really, is it?
We're just sort of rambling about idols now.
I'll tell you what I might this might be a separate thing. I feel like I want to talk about Little Big now. This is the band that I was talking about before.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I have recently found out I'm quite a big fan of rave. But specifically, and you may be able to point me into the direction of other bands, I can't quite work out what it is.
Huh?
So I have known for a little while that Die Antwoord are good.
They're hip hop.
Okay. I would have said they were rave rap.
Yeah.
Rap, rave,
no,
or
I
whatever.
feel like that's fine. I would say that they just have their own brand of hip hop or rap. Yeah.
So recently, a Russian group called Little Big went a little bit viral with one of their songs, and I watched that video and went, I want to hear more of that music, and I don't really know why.
Okay.
And I think it's that there's an outrageousness to the videos and the imagery that they use. There's a really good one called Lolly Bomb, where the imagery is Kim Jong-un dating a nuclear bomb, and there's a really graphic sex scene, and I really think you should all go and watch that.
Okay. That sounds amazing.
It is incredible. So, and I want to understand. So what I'm going to do now, if it's all right with you,
I'm going to have to invoke the driving and pissing rights.
Okay, that's fine. Well, what I'm going to suggest then is we're going to drive over to Morrison's, and while we're doing that, I'm going to make Pete watch this video on YouTube.
Amazing.
And then when we
Sorry, I'll search it.
Okay, it'll probably be my fucking favourites.
Little Big Lolly Bomb, yeah.
No. I said I would think you should watch Skibbity because that's the favourite. That's the one that went viral. There are 3 that I would like you to see, but
well, I mean, I can get around to that anytime if I enjoy this first one. Skibbity.
yeah.
Oh, the vibrations don't help.
So we've moved.
Yep.
We're in a Morrison's car park now. Got some snacks.
Yep.
Got some drinks.
Uh-huh.
We've had a listen to some Little Big, as have you, because that's the plan with the editing. So what would you say that was then? That's yeah. Okay, I see your point. Pete said we should wait and eat afterwards, or wait and record after we've finished eating.
Yeah. You just asked me a question when I had a mouthful of Scotch egg.
Yeah. I prefer that.
I would say that's. It sounds like popified Russian hard bass. It sounds like Russian hard bass that someone's given a more sort of cheesy pop leaning to, and that's fine. It sounds pretty good. I genuinely already have that song stuck in my head. It's a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm imagining that will get put on later when I get home.
I hope so.
Around my house.
A problem shared is a problem halved. I honestly can't stop listening to it, and I think that there's a lot of the imagery they use, a lot of the videos I think are a big part of it. I can't imagine I'd really listen to it outside of, like, I couldn't listen to an album of it without the visuals, because they're so odd. The videos are so odd and brilliant, and the Skibbity I think should be the new Macarena. I think it should be. I think that should be a thing. It's been a while, hasn't it? When was the last time we had a one with a dance routine, like the Casper slide? It's fucking years ago. That was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So I reckon we need a new one. I reckon. And Skibbity, I'm putting in my bid now. Skibbity, Christmas number 1. And then yeah. So that was that. Just having a little pause.
Did we have any more off-topic business to cover?
I don't know if we did actually.
The Taste Funny podcast was presented and devised by Peter McHugh and Joe McLachlan. Music was by The X Towels.